Before time began, there was only darkness and the goddess Namu, the primordial sea. She gave birth to Anki, the universe. At first, they were heaven and earth in one, a vast mountain of soil and sky mixed together. Anki produced Enlil, the air. Enlil separated his parents into An, the sky, and Ki, the mother earth. He pulled his mother down to form solid ground and pushed his father up to form the heavens. He then created the moon god Nana, who created the sun god Utu. Enlil and Ki, air and earth, joined to produce Enki, the god of water, vegetation, and wisdom, and the lord of the universe. He built marshland around the rivers and made the soil rich and fertile. Meanwhile, in heaven, the gods were having a large drunken banquet. They decided to create humans who was made of clay and weak in body and mind. At the time, everyone was too drunk to see how poorly they were made. The humans descended to live on Enki's earth. Before long, it became clear that this race had too many problems to survive and be a credit to the gods who created them. The gods decided to destroy them all in a great flood. Only 2 people were worthy enough to survive, a man named Ziusudra and his wife. Enki came to them with instructions. They were to build a wooden ark and hide there until the floodwaters subsided. The gods redirected the Tigris and Euphrates and caused a violent flood, washing all the humans to their deaths. The storms raged day and night until there was no dry land. Ziusudra and his wife were safe in their wooden ark. They wept at the loss of mankind. Finally, the rivers shrank back, and the land around them re-emerged. Ziusudra and his wife began a new generation of men and women and set up their villages on the shores of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Most religions have a single creation story. Hinduism has many. This is because for Hindus there is no single creation, but periodic cycles of creation. The universe we live in is one of innumerable universes. The story of our universe begins with a vast ocean. A serpent, Anantashesh, floats on its surface. Vishnu is asleep in its coils. A lotus sprouts from his navel. On top sits the 4-headed demigod Brahma. At first, Brahma can't tell who he is or what he should do. Vishnu encourages Brahma to create the world from the materials he has provided. After eons of meditation, Brahma hears a sound arising from the depths of the ocean, a humming that increases in volume, the sacred Om. Brahma splits the lotus into 3 parts. One becomes the heavens, another the sky, the third the earth. He creates grass, flowers, trees, birds, fish, and other animals. The world fills with living, breathing things. Regularly, within the cycles of creation, Brahma wants to produce more species or to increase the population of the universe. One time, he produced 2 forms, a male and female, and they combined to give birth to sons. Another time, he divided in 2, becoming male and female. The female part became a cow, and the male part a bull. They give birth to calves. Then she became a mare, and he became a horse. They have foals. And so the process continued to expand the living world.
Then Brahma decided to send the river Ganga down to earth.
But there is one problem. That Ganga has got such mighty force, and if she comes on the earth will drown.
So the god Shiva blocked Ganga's fall, gathering her waters in the locks of his hair.
So Shiva just opened one lock of his hair, and the Ganga flowed.
Before there was soil, or sky, or any green thing, there was only the gaping abyss of Ganunga Gap. This darkness lay between the homeland of elemental fire, Muspelheim, and the homeland of elemental ice, Nilfheim. The flames from Muspelheim and the frost from Niflheim moved ever closer, and they eventually met in the abyss. As the ice began to melt, the droplets themselves formed Ymir, the first of the giant kind. Ymir was capable of reproducing asexually, and as he slept, the sweat from underneath his arms formed 2 more giants. A third was later born, creating the first family of giants known as the Jotuns. They later had 3 half-god, half-giant children. We know them as Odin, Vili, and Ve. Odin and his brothers were concerned with how quickly the giants could reproduce, as they severely outnumbered the Aesir. The 3 brothers decided that their only option was to slay Ymir, and they waited till the giants slept before they began their assault. With all their strength, the brothers were able to overpower and slay Ymir. The blood which spouted from Ymir's body formed rivers, and these rivers drowned all but 2 giants. The surviving giants, Bergelmir and his wife, fled to the misty lands we now know as Jotunheim. The world as we know it in Norse mythology was created from the remains of Ymir's body. Odin and his brothers dragged Ymir's body into the abyss, and the 9 worlds were created. His blood formed rivers, his flesh and muscles became land, vegetation was formed from his hair, clouds from his brains, mountains from his bones, and his skull formed the sky. Ymir's skull would cover the entire new world, and the gods placed sparks from Muspelheim inside of the skull, and these would illuminate the world as stars.
God created the heavens and earth, all you see, all you don't see. Earth was a soup of nothingness, a bottomless emptiness, an inky blackness. God's spirit brooded like a bird above the watery abyss. God spoke, light, and light appeared. God saw that light was good, and separated light from dark. God named the light day. He named the dark night. It was evening. It was morning. Day 1. God spoke, sky, in the middle of the waters, separate water from water. God made sky. He separated the water under sky from the water above sky. And there it was. He named sky the heavens. Day 2. God spoke, separate water beneath heaven, gather into one place, land, appear. And there it was. God named the land earth. He named the pooled water ocean. God spoke, earth, green up, grow all varieties of seed-bearing plants, every sort of fruit-bearing tree. And there it was. Day 3. God made 2 big lights, the larger to take charge of day, the smaller to be in charge of night. And he made the stars. God placed them in the heavenly sky to light up earth and oversee day and night. Day 4. God spoke, swarm, ocean, with fish and all sea life, birds, fly through the sky over earth. Day 5. God spoke, earth, generate life, every sort and kind, cattle and reptiles and wild animals, all kinds. God created human beings. He created them godlike, reflecting God's nature. He created them male and female. God blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill earth, take charge. Day 6. Heaven and earth were finished, down to the last detail. By the 7th day, God had finished his work. On the 7th day, he rested from all his work.
Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "In the beginning there was Allah. There was nothing before him. In other narration, nothing was with him. And his throne was on water. And he wrote in the tablet everything. And he created the heavens and the earth."
And when the Prophet ﷺ says, خَلَقَ اللَّهُ الْقَلَمَ, that Allah created the pen, he says, وَكَانَ عَرْشُهُ عَلَى مَاءٍ, that his throne was settled upon water. So the scholars, they take from that Allah obviously had created water before the pen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the pen, write. And the pen said, "Oh my Lord, and what should I write?" Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the pen, write the details, the decree of everything that will happen and that is decreed until the establishment of the hour, until the hour begins and commences. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever dies believing in anything other than this, then he is not from me. So the qalam, the pen, which was created 50,000 years before the heavens and the earth, wrote in what's known as al-lawh al-mahfuz, the preserved and protected tablet. Allah calls it al-lawh al-mahfuz because it's protected from any changes, and it's also protected from access. No one can access this preserved tablet, not from the human beings, nor from the jinn, not even from the angels, not even from the malaika. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has access to al-lawh al-mahfuz. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that al-lawh al-mahfuz is preserved in al-bayt al-ma'mur, the frequently visited home where the malaika, the angels, do tawaf. And it's preserved directly under the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, directly under the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the seventh heaven. And he said it's made of red rubies. And of course not the red rubies that we see. It's made of a special type of red rubies. Its upper end is tied to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and its lower end reaches towards the angels. Its script is light, and its pen is light. He said Allah glances at it many times, hundreds of times a day, and with each glance He does what He wills. He exalts one who is humble, He humiliates one who is honorable, He enriches one who is poor, He impoverishes one who is rich, He gives life to one person, He gives death to another person, and He does whatever else He wills. La ilaha illahu, there is no God but He.
When you get to the upper levels of Scientology, the creation myth is explained to you. The story is that 75 million years ago, people lived in a world very much like the world of America in the 1950s.
People at that particular time and space were walking around in clothes which looked very remarkably like the clothes they wear at this very minute. And the cars they drove looked exactly the same. And they walked down streets that looked like these streets.
It was a very similar world and similar problems, one of which was overpopulation.
They had elected a fellow by the name of Xenu to the supreme ruler.
There was a tyrannical overlord of the Galactic Confederacy named Xenu. In order to resolve this problem of overpopulation, he called people in, ostensibly for tax audits, and had them frozen with injections of glycol to their heart.
Boxed them up in boxes, threw them into space planes. PC-8 airplane is the exact copy of the space plane of that day.
They were flown to the prison planet, Tijiak. It's actually the planet Earth. And these frozen bodies were then dropped into volcanoes.
And then they set off hydrogen bombs on the top of each volcano.
And their disembodied spirits, these are called thetans, floated out, and they were captured and forced to sit in front of movie screens.
With a 3D super colossal motion picture.
They were shown images, implants, as Hubbard would have it.
Every man is shown crucified. So is the psychiatrist shown crucified. That's how he gets away with what he gets away with. He electric shocks people.
And when a child is born, a thetan will leap inside the child's body at that very instant, and it becomes like the child's soul. More than one thetan might crowd into the body. Hundreds or thousands might. They're the source of all of our